Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! It doesn't matter!
Oh, it doesn't matter!
This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
We need if we can survive!
It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and sitting right next to me is my brother Tommy. How's it going, Tommy?
I'm good. How are you doing?
And joining us once again is our good brother from Pro Wrestling 101 on Instagram. It's Richard. How's it going, man?
What do you care?
I always care, man. We love you, man. Like you said, you're a good brother. You're a brother to Tommy and I. So, yeah, we're always concerned about your well-being.
You're a brother from another mother.
Tommy's the only one that checks in on me during the week. Make sure I'm still alive.
Does he ask you a bunch of questions as well?
Well, he'd ask me what I'm wearing.
Yeah, if you want to go along those lines.
And I tell him.
Oh, there you go.
He just wants to make sure that I'm bundled because it's cold.
Yeah.
Well, I see you got your Terry Funk shirt on right now. Your Funk
you.
I need to get that shirt. That's one of the iconic wrestling shirts of all time.
Yeah.
It's and by the way, I love the video you sent the other day of Terry Funk crashing a virtual signing for Stan Hansen.
Yeah.
I need to post that.
That was awesome.
I haven't seen it yet, but I heard it's really funny.
Well, it's a Stan Hansen. I mean,
it's just Terry Funk. He's gray haired now, but he comes in with some jacket that Sylvester Stallone gave him.
That was from Rocky IV.
And he slams it down while Stan Hansen is doing a virtual interview or a meet and greet signing. Yeah. And he's just like, you see that? Sylvester Stallone gave me that jacket.
That's a pretty spot
Do
on.
you have a jacket from Sylvester Stallone?
And he's like,
I
no.
don't think so.
Stan Hansen's like, no, I wasn't in the movie. So going back and forth. I mean, imagine just sitting there and listening to the two of them have a conversation.
I love it.
Yeah. But Terry
Two of my
Funk,
all-time favorites right there.
God, how old is he? What, 79 now?
Let's see. He was born 1944, so that makes him 76.
Damn. Yeah. But think about it. He was taking chair shots in the head up until what?
2010s, maybe?
Damn. Anyway, it was just a hilarious video. But yeah, so Richard, if you post that I think all the Kliqsters will get a kick
and
out of it.
Stan Hansen, he still looks pretty good in his early 70s,
Yeah.
Oh, you see his wrist though in there? He looks like he's got a baseball inside of his wrist from all the stiff lariats he's given.
Yeah.
Go back and watch it, Danny.
Yeah.
Okay.
To go back and watch it because it's pretty gross.
I didn't notice that part.
His wrist looks like his elbow's in his wrist, the ball of your elbow. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I believe that, man.
But no, it's two legends right there, and no, it was very fun to see that.
It's probably bigger than when he busted up Vader's eye.
And of course, I would love to get their take on this current generation of wrestlers and wrestling in general. And I like to think that's a perfect segue into our little bit of a clickbait news I want to get into this week. So the Undertaker making headlines this week. So he just out of nowhere made an appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast this week, which a lot of people were shocked and just surprised by it. But nonetheless, made for a pretty entertaining episode. A little under 3 hours long. I think it was like 2 hours and 45 minutes. I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but I did see some comments online as for some people saying he didn't really say nothing too new that we haven't heard already versus what he said on Stone Cold's podcast or the WWE Network stuff. So I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but nonetheless, I think it's probably a good move for Undertaker to be on Joe Rogan shows, the biggest podcast in the world, and reach a whole new audience. And I'm sure for the new people that are listening for the first time, it's a lot of new stories, or it's new to them, I should say, those stories being heard. But the big thing that came from this that got a lot of fans just wild up and back and forth, and, Twitter went crazy. People leaving, the keyboard warriors out there leaving their comments. More or less, Undertaker.
Yucky.
To sum it up, the big line that he said that got a lot of people all furious was Undertaker says the current WWE product is too soft. And just to specify on that, so here's an excerpt from it that I found online.
Do you want to do it in your Tanker impression?
I can't do a Taker voice. Well, Richard, can you do a Richard voice?
I can't. I just choose not to.
All right.
Can you do a Taker voice?
I can't. I just choose not to.
Well, see, I'm bad at I do a Texas accent.
Howdy now.
Howdy. Well, now.
Oh my God, you sound just like Ron Simmons.
Oh, damn. But anyway, so here's the quote. This is what Undertaker said as far as, he was on Joe Rogan's podcast and give his thoughts on the current WWE product. And in response was kind of negative. And so, he said, quote, "In that era of guys, too, men were men. You got into a dressing room today, and it's a lot different. I remember walking to my first real dressing room. Half of them had knives and guns in their bags. S got handled then. Now you walk in, and there's guys playing video games and effing making sure they look pretty. It's evolution, I guess. I don't know what it is, but I just like those eras. Man, I liked when men were men." And so
I concur.
So a lot of people were reacting to this, and there was another quote that he said later on. Let me see. Joe Rogan was asking, about the current product, and he was asking to get in trouble for saying this. And he says, so Joe Rogan said, "Do you enjoy WWE as a fan, or are you too close to it?" Undertaker responded, "I try. It's tough right now for me because the product has changed so much. It's kind of soft, Rogan then asked, "Are you going to get in trouble for saying that?" Undertaker said, "Probably. I'll probably piss a lot of people off, but they need to hear it. It is what it is. But to the young guys, here's a bitter old guy. I'm not bitter. I did my time. I'm good. I walked away when I wanted to walk away." You should have been saying that like 10 years ago. But anyway, I just think the product's a little soft. These guys here and there have an edge to them, but there's too many pretty and not enough substance, I think right now. And there's a lot more to it. There's a much bigger quote about it. And just to sum that part up, it was about how he thought during his era, like the prime years, like the Attitude Era, all these guys were coming up together at the same time. And then they just left and he feels maybe didn't do enough to help the next generation.
I 100% agree with that.
So
100. I've talked about that with wrestling buddies of mine for years, because it's like, you think about it, Austin and Rock just gone. They weren't passing the torch to anyone. Triple H and Undertaker were really the only two that stuck around to do that on the big stage, kind of scene, because there was people that went to TNA, like Kevin Nash, Booker T, Kurt Angle, so on and so forth. But even then, Kurt Angle's still a rookie because he debuted in '99. So it's kind of like he's at an elite level, but he's not a veteran. Like, it's kind of wild.
Yeah. So let me just look here at this quote here as far as when you're talking about the veterans and stuff. I guess, it's interesting to think about this. So there's a lot to break down here. I guess let's first talk about just the concept of this generation is soft compared to his generation.
They are.
In what sense? How would you, what makes them softer now than 20 years ago?
Size, brawling. No one can throw a punch anymore.
Yes, I agree on that.
That got exposed last week when Triple H was throwing punches with Randy Orton. Triple H, no one has a punch that good. And Triple H wasn't a guy 10, 15 years ago that you would say is one of the best punchers, but now you would, because he's the last guy doing it.
They all do like forearms now.
Yeah.
Into the neck. Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett, too, as well.
And that had been around. I mean, I don't remember seeing Kevin Nash throw a fist. I always remember seeing Kevin Nash throw a forearm. So,
yeah.
But I think, I mean, if you were to put someone at the same level, let's say Cesaro, in a match with Rick Rude, two kind of guys at the same kind of level, Rick Rude would eat him up.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing against Cesaro, but come on, when you're comparing people at the same level, you're losing to size. Like the high flying stuff they can do all day, but like it's kind of like when you see something done to Keith Lee now or Walter, where you might do something high flying, but they're just or Samoa Joe, and they shove you off. Like the guys back then were like the smallest guy back then would be like one of the bigger guys now.
Totally. Yeah. So, okay, a couple things. And for the most part, I agree with Undertaker is saying. And
they're better. They are better athletes now.
Yes.
I just like he's not saying that they're not. He's just saying that they were tougher guys, and they were.
And I think to a certain extent, it's just how I think people who are current wrestlers or superstars, how they treat the business, how they go about everyday life around the business and what they do in and out of the ring. It's just a whole lifestyle that's just different as far as what it means to be a wrestler in today's world versus back then. So like I said, there's a lot of layers I want to break down here real quick. So, okay, as far as, like I said, I agree with him to for the most part what he's saying. I think a lot of people are really misinterpreting some of his words and not understanding the full bigger picture of what he's trying to say. He's a guy that's been so close to the business for 30 years. Even
if they're not misinterpreting what he's saying and they're still taking it to an defense, he has been in that locker room for 30 years.
Yeah.
So he's seen it change. Like I've heard other veterans, like Stone Cold, even say on podcasts that the first thing a wrestler will do now when they get back from a match is go to social media and check out what the feedback is, which is just like, why? Like,
yeah,
like they're not dictating to you if you're good or not. Like social media is the worst place to go to.
Yeah, go talk to your agent, your road agent, or the producers, or whoever help book the match. Whoever are like their quote managers or coaches behind the scenes. Ask them for feedback. Use them for that. People who have been in the business a lot longer than you, who've had that experience, it can help maybe grow you into a better performer out there. Instead of reading comments of, like I said, clipboard warriors or people who never stepped in a ring before. And sure, might have watched it for years, but they don't know the true ins and outs of the business and how to make it work. So
they never took enough bump.
Yeah, so don't read all the Twitter comments, YouTube comments, or whatever, DMs to kind of dictate how well you're doing in and out of the ring. So as far as, okay, Undertaker, I could see how some people might get upset because they say, oh, he's just an older guy back in his day who thinks his era was better than the current product.
Not it was.
I mean,
he's at the tail end. Think about this. He's at the tail end of the 80s.
Yeah.
Like when all the biggest stars from the 80s are coming through. And those are the biggest stars of wrestling ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
He then transitions into the new era, the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era. He has seen more eras of wrestlers because if you think about it, from the 30s to the late 70s, wrestling is the same everywhere for the most part.
Yeah.
So when it changes is the 80s and then the 90s and the 2000s and the 2010s, and he's been a part of the change eras of wrestling.
Yeah.
So he has more, and he was a part of the older era. He came up in USWA and WCCW. So he's seen it all.
So for a couple things though. So like initially when I heard him say soft, I'm thinking, well, I think to a certain extent, and when he said people are more pretty today, I mean, part of me is like, well, yeah, I think today's wrestlers, as you said, Richard, they're better athletes today. They're better, like, as far as the athleticism in the ring, bell to bell, are much better. And so, therefore, they take better care of their bodies and whatnot. So if you look at someone from, like, the bodies of the majority of the wrestlers today versus bodies from the 80s, it's night and day as far as just these big, heavy-set dudes who just
Hulky guys.
Yeah, throw haymakers versus the more ripped and cut performers today who do like CrossFit and all that crazy stuff. So, for me, it's like, you look at it back then, those guys in the 80s and stuff who were, not in the best shape, who party pretty hard and die at a young age. And also at the same time, like they look much older than for their age versus guys today who take better care of themselves, who look young. I mean, the best examples like Earthquake, who in his
or the Godwins.
Yeah.
If you look at the Godwins in WWE or F at the time, they're in their 20s.
Yeah. I mean, but like Earthquake, like when he made his like initial first run, he was in his late 20s, but he looked like he was 45 years old.
Yeah.
And I think that the best point was like, I think someone said like AJ Styles, how great he looks at, what was he, 42, 43 now? Yeah. So I
think you also can look at it as them being pretty because they don't have scars. From blading or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just how WWE treats their talent as far as the way they kind of perform in the ring, and like no more headshots and the blading, all that stuff. Yeah, that's a good point as well. But also you got to think about in today's world. I think WWE, ever since they really went public, from a business standpoint, I remember, God, who was it that told me? But when they went public as a company, it was kind of like a mandate for all WWE superstars to start dressing better when doing public appearances and really how they conduct themselves. Back in the day, like in the 90s, you see all these guys wearing jeans and, fanny packs and like a cutoff sleeve shirt, walking out in public. Now today, a lot of superstars are expected to wear suits and be clean and cut and all that stuff. And so that's part of just the evolution of the business from a business standpoint. And you got social media and more public appearances. So, they got to probably have, better tanning and dress themselves better, do all the workout stuff. And so, I mean, that's where I think, sure, if you're someone that's older and came up in that more gritty, back in the day, you see these guys today, and they all look like a bunch of pussies to me. Well, it's just that's how what's expected of them as WWE superstar today. So that's, one excuse I'm trying to explain.
But he's been there through it.
Exactly.
So it's not new. He's just saying what it is. He's laying it out, the truth.
Yeah. And so, that's one thing I think for Taker, maybe, I don't know if he fully understands that, maybe kind of the expectations from WWE superstars today of why they kind of conduct stuff. But I will say this, what Taker, to a certain extent, about the video games and stuff. Now, granted, I'd rather have WWE superstars play video games and maybe goof around doing that type of stuff than doing some of the bad, crazy things they were doing in the 80s that would really hurt their bodies. But
let me turn this around on you.
Okay.
How would your coworkers act if you started playing video games at work? You brought your console and you're playing at work.
They'll be like, well, why are you not doing your actual job?
No. I mean, like, when you've got some downtime, are they gonna think, oh my God, like, what the hell does he think he's doing? Like, he's acting like a child. That's how I look at it. I would get butchered for doing that at my job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think most people will. But I think, in WWE, a lot of these superstars are making a lot of money being video game personalities now and all that stuff. But what I'm trying to get at is, I think to a certain extent what Taker, what I agree with, I think a lot of these superstars don't take the wrestling business serious enough and focus their attention on too many other avenues instead of taking the wrestling aspect or as a whole more serious. Case in point is Ethan Page from Impact Wrestling, or formerly of Impact Wrestling now. I remember in the last 6 months, like his stock has really gone up in the last 6 months with the success of the North.
Well, since he got into really good shape as well.
Yeah, since he got into shape, the North were so successful title runs. And he was doing a lot of other stuff, Twitch and YouTube vlogging and a lot of other stuff. And I remember he was really serious about saying I'm Julian. This is Julian. This is not Ethan Page. He was going by his actual name, his shoot name. And so for me, he that's the thing. And that's why I was kind of taken back.
Wrestlers can't the Undertaker, it took him 30 years to break his character. Like even though I'm not watching him anymore, I know I can still see his tweets from time to time. But MJF never breaks character.
Yeah. So that's what I'm leading to. That's a great example. So for me, what I'm getting at with Ethan Page, as much as I love him as a performer, as a wrestler, he really, once he leaves the arena, he really separates himself as just Julian and all these other avenues. So he just more or less says wrestling is just his job. And that kind of hurts me a little bit that he doesn't take, it seems, the business as seriously as like an Undertaker.
Yeah. Well, look at another good example before he got called out for all of his other exploits is Joey Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who was the king of sleaze and putting dick lollipops in people's mouths. And then the second he's on Twitter, he's talking about how this is an art and this is an art form and we're playing characters and it's acting. And it's like, this is why you're not signed anywhere.
So and that's where I do agree with Undertaker as far as these guys are concerned about their look and presentation outside the ring and not focusing enough on the actual wrestling business. So I do agree with him there that and that's, like I said, Ethan Page or Joey Ryan, you said, are examples where it's like when they're outside the ring, they're concerned about other aspects of their life and not taking the business completely serious as other people have, like an MJF.
And the worst offender to me, the one that's offended me the most with it, and this is before he went to AEW, is Jericho. And it's not because of his books, it's his podcast. He had Kenny Omega and Don Callis on immediately after that match, the first match he had
in New Japan,
and they exposed how this whole thing came about, and it was just like, why are you doing this right now? Yeah, like this is no.
I was shocked by that. How I love Chris Jericho, but I was shocked. Like literally, like less than a week after that match, they broke down the whole thing in like how Don Callis put this together. And I was like, whoa, because I loved the emotion and the buildup for that match, the back and forth, the backstage like press conferences and them fighting. I loved all of it. And then, like a few days later, like, oh, yeah, we're friends. We wanted to do this together. And
sterilizes it. It sterilizes it.
Yeah. So it's like all that great emotion was like gone like that. Yeah. So that's where I do agree with the Undertaker, how I think not enough people take the business serious enough and do all these other aspects. Like, listen, I have no problem. People will go make your money. Go make as much money as you can at your most popular point in your career, your peak of your career. But I don't know, have a little more respect for the overall business.
You should, and you should always be thinking about your character. Another one, for instance, would be 4 or 5 years ago. I remember WWE took a trip to Europe, and a bunch of the wrestlers went to the Roman Coliseum and took selfies together.
Yes.
And it was a bunch of people that were feuding, like the whole Wyatt family with all the Shield guys and a couple other people.
Yep.
And it's just like, aren't these guys feuding right now?
Yeah.
And then they're posting it on social media, and it's like, this is one of those photos that needs to be saved for much later.
I know, and that's the thing. Like kayfabe, like Undertaker, like I always will respect how serious he took kayfabe, and I'm with you. Like these social media really kills kayfabe. All these guys and gals who are feuding are really like best friends outside the ring, and it kind of hurts a little bit. Like it just for me from my emotional involvement, and that's what makes wrestling so much different versus any other entertainment show out there. It's that's the one industry where people expect the person on TV to be the same person out on the street versus any other TV shows. An actor can be this character on a TV show, but when they're on the street, they're their normal selves.
And Undertaker's come from that world of kayfabe so much so where he knows wrestlers like Roddy Piper who got stabbed or shot at or while they were protecting the character.
And I'm glad you brought that up. And I remember, I think it was at Stone Cold's Jake Roberts. I think it was on Joe Rogan. He said, like, kind of the reason why they had to carry weapons is because the fans were crazy and would attack them because they took their character so seriously. So I think partly the weapons in the bag comment, I think, is kind of maybe loosely connected to that. So
have you heard the story of Mr. Wrestling Tim Woods?
No,
go on.
So he was in the famous airplane crash that Johnny Valentine and Ric Flair was in.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a babyface on an airplane with heels.
Oh, okay, I know what you're going. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So he messed up his back real good. Flair broke his back. Johnny Valentine broke his back and became a paraplegic from this. And someone else was on there that's escaping my mind, but passed away. And because Mr. Wrestling was trying to keep kayfabe, he had to check himself out of the hospital and go wrestle the same night that he had an airplane accident to protect that he wasn't really the guy on the plane, even though he was.
With these guys that he was feuding with, or it's like, I mean, that's the Undertaker.
And I'm not saying by any means that guys today should go that far, but what I'm saying is that there were people that went that far to protect what they have, and then these guys just throw it away for social media likes.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too is I think a lot of these guys who try to be pretty, it's kind of weird, like these tough guys, and then yet they take all these poses and selfies on Instagram or whatever, and them in these high fashion suits, and they're posing with each other, trying to be like models and stuff. And I'm like, I mean, I look at them like, come on, like I expect you guys to be these badasses in and out of the ring. You guys all like
this is the pose that they need to do. That's it.
Just arms crossed.
They don't want it. They don't want the photo to be taken, but they have to take the photo.
Yeah. And so that's kind of one thing about social media is I don't want to say specific names, but there's some guys I follow and I'm like, I look at their photos lately and it's like, man, you guys, like, I mean, imagine, Terry Funk or something would slap the S out of them with how they conduct themselves out of the ring. So I get that. The one last thing I want to touch on is, so as far as Taker says, like everyone aging out, and could they have done more to help the next generation? Because the next generation were just working with their other peers and trying to figure things out, how to keep the business moving along. I mean, part of me is like, yeah, sure, they all kind of aged out and they were gone. Do you think maybe they should have done more as far as putting other talent, younger talent over, or
Yes, 100% yes.
But is that ultimately their fault, or is that just the booking? And for example, Vince McMahon.
No, I don't blame the booking, because the booking was still good when they were leaving or getting let go.
Okay,
like it's not even close, because like so many guys just left and went to TNA because of the lighter schedule and they got guaranteed money.
Yeah.
And look at AJ Styles. He was there throughout all of those guys going there, and he picked up everything from them, and he's probably the best active wrestler alive on the planet right now. So I think in terms of WWE, they lost that bit because they were building up the newer stars. So, they still had Undertaker, Kane, Big Show, Mark Henry. Who else?
From the Ruthless Aggression era?
Like Attitude Era holdouts through the Ruthless Aggression era.
I mean, Triple H.
Look, we lost Rock, we lost Austin, we lost Eddie early, and we lost Benoit early. And those were supposed to be the guys after Eddie and Benoit were like the
Jericho took time off as well.
Jericho took time off. Booker T, Kevin Nash, Kurt Angle, they went to TNA. So it's like
Sting was in TNA the whole time.
Yeah. So then the guys that are left are like John Cena. John Cena bored the hell out of me until probably Bray Wyatt coming around.
Really? So even Thugonomics and
no, CM Punk. That's CM Punk.
Okay, CM Punk. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it's just kind of like you're like, it's funny that people complain now that WWE has all these old guys around and they do these Legends Night, but it's like for 10 years they didn't do that at all. And it's probably 10 years that people like weren't tuning in as often.
Yeah, so I guess for me, my big thing is, okay, if Undertaker feels that maybe not enough of his peers from the Attitude Era did enough to help the next generation, okay, you got the Performance Center now, and he did compliment Triple H for the work he's been doing, try to help him and Shawn Michaels and what they're doing at the Performance Center, trying to help groom the next generation that we see on NXT and stuff. I don't know what it would take, but have Undertaker, have Stone Cold, have some of these other guys come, be like guest coaches or something. But like have more. But see, that's the thing. So that's why I'm surprised Undertaker didn't acknowledge that with Joe Rogan and be like, hey, I have done some guest appearances there, so I'm trying to do my part and help them. not necessarily in the ring like a one-on-one match in front of a crowd, but like behind the scenes, I'm trying to pass on my knowledge. So I that's something I wish Undertaker would maybe explain more. And Joe Rogan, he doesn't know all that, and he wasn't going to go into that conversation, that part of the conversation.
Nor does he care.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something I think a lot of people who were criticizing Taker, it's like, keep in mind that they do have, guest speakers who come to the Performance Center and help out. So, I mean, they are doing their part as far as trying to, be a coach.
And if you are critical of the Undertaker, what the hell do you know?
Yeah.
Really? Like, what's your experience in the locker room?
Yeah. And so, and like I said, I mean, and the other thing too is, think about it. What Undertaker is saying can be applied to all the other different sports out there. Yeah. I mean, think about it, the athletes today: NFL, NBA, NHL, and baseball, MLB. Like their locker rooms and how they conduct themselves and what's treated to them. Tommy, what you said, the very luxurious lifestyle that they all lead.
But
it's different than the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing for those sports compared to sports today.
Yeah.
Like it's hilarious to me when people try to compare basketball today to the Bulls in the 90s. It's
or the Pistons in the 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
Lakers,
it's just like
Lakers and Celtics the 80s.
You've got no clue what you're talking about when you say that. You're just saying that, but you didn't live it.
I mean, the NBA players today, like on defense, you can barely touch them. That's why these guys are just throwing up all these shots, scoring all these points. But back in the day, like in the 80s,
to be brawls.
Guys were getting closeline coming down the lane.
And they were just trying to fight their way to the box out to get a rebound or whatever,
Dennis Rodman's whole persona was to psych you out.
Yeah, exactly. So what Undertaker is saying could easily apply to other sports and how they didn't have the same luxury lifestyle people today do, athletes do today versus back in the 70s, 80s, which made them probably feel a lot more tougher and grittier and really go out there and earn every single thing that comes their way versus today where it seems like a lot of things given to them. And therefore your mentality becomes a little bit softer in many ways as well. You expect all the guaranteed stuff.
Probably the lowest person on the totem pole as a wrestler in WWE now probably makes double what they made in the 90s for someone in the same position.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a list of the different salaries right now of some of the top stars. It's shocking. I mean, I imagine what these guys made today versus what they made in the 90s. I mean,
like Shawn Michaels.
Inflation, I know that counts, but
like The Rock made something like $1 million in 1999.
Wow.
I don't remember where. I think it was his first book.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, wow.
Yeah. So I guess ultimately to sum it all up is we agree with Undertaker as far as I think a lot of the wrestlers don't treat the business as serious as they once did back in the day. Now, as far as the more gritty guys, I think just athletes today do a better job taking care of themselves, and rightfully so. We want them to have long, living, healthy lives. But at the same time, with that being said, you're having such a great life now, put it back into the wrestling business and make it more tougher and aggressive again. So, like I said, it's very subjective, but I think Undertaker has so much great knowledge in his brain that I would love to see him just keep passing it on, paying it forward to this next generation, hopefully turn the tide. And here, how about this? Conspiracy theory. What happened if Taker said this as a way just to get the locker room going? Like, hypothetically, what happened if someone like Vince or something told him, like, hey, you're going to do this interview? Say this, and that will get my locker room, my roster, amped up again. I'm just saying, hypothetically, it's conspiracy theory.
I at the same time, I think there's a fair amount of people that probably took, like in the locker room, that took offense to it.
Yeah.
I mean, you watched the other show.
Yeah.
Look at who their trainers are. Arn Anderson, Dean Malenko, Jerry Lynn. Who else is there?
I mean, Tully Blanchard's there as a manager.
Tully Blanchard, Dustin Rhodes, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah, Jake's there.
When you watch that show, do you think they're taking direction from them? Or do you think that they're giving them information that they're probably not going to use? Because what does the old man know about modern wrestling?
I would hope, like someone like Lance Archer, who's being managed by Jake the Snake right now, I would hope Now, I know they're not traveling as much. They're all stuck in Jacksonville with their weekly shows. But I would hope maybe during the day before they start recording at night, I would hope and I would imagine Lance Archer is, during this whole time period over the last year, picking Jake's brain for every single thing he can think of. Or,
doesn't he lose every week?
He's kind of being rebuilt as a dominant monster again, but as a baby face now. But he was losing for a little bit. But so anyway, that I would hope, like FTR, who are being managed by Tully Blanchard, I hope they are picking Tully Blanchard's brain, and Arn Anderson also there in the backstage area picking their brain.
But those are WWE guys. They don't need that kind of coach.
True, yeah, because they've already got a lot of that already for their years. But yeah, I would hope someone like a Jungle Boy or some of the younger talent on the roster are taking advantage of these veterans back there and pick their brain. So no,
does it look like they do? Honestly, yes or no? Honest answer.
I mean, some of the storylines, no. I think some of the storylines are very convoluted and there's a lot of plot holes.
Matches, though, when they're agenting the matches, because each match has an agent. The guys that I just listed as their agents, does it look like that this is a well put together thing?
It's still like a very indie style of matches.
Yeah. So they're not listening to them.
They're
probably getting direction. And I'm not saying WWE doesn't do this too, because you see this on WWE a fair amount. Mm-hmm. There's some stuff we'll get into in this episode that I'll speak on because
So no, but nonetheless, like you said, overall, I loved kind of what Taker had to say, and hopefully that will get some a light of fire in some people's asses, and maybe hopefully kind of change the landscape of pro wrestling. Hopefully this will create like a wave long term. So
it makes you wonder how many of these guys would actually, if they were allowed to, would actually blade if they had the opportunity.
If it was okay, like it was okay thing. No, like the Miz. No, I got a movie to shoot.
Yeah.
Morrison, no, not my pretty face. Undertaker, you can't take it. So, anyway, no, it makes for a great conversation. Just makes you kind of think about just the business as a whole. So, we'll see how this all plays out over the course of the next year and whatnot. So, all right, let's move on over to this week in WWE TV. First up, Monday Night Raw. And right out of the gates, the first scene of Raw this week was Randy Orton, or I should say, a luchador version of Randy
Mr. Wrestling number 2.
No, that's Mr. Wrestling number 3.
Number 3, okay. Yeah.
Randy Orton in like a white mask, and you see like little burnt red marks under him.
Or Dr. X.
Richard, your thoughts on this promo here?
Long.
It was long.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I
tuned out after a while, so I'll let you speak on this.
Okay, I had it on Monday, and it was kind of long. I was like, he's still talking? Now, to sum it up, the message here, as far as, okay, he showed compassion and restraint and didn't light Alexa Bliss on fire when he had the chance to a couple weeks ago. But in doing so, the following week, he got a fireball to the face. Mm-hmm. So, in a way, he kind of justified, like, he's upset.
I don't blame her.
Yeah, but he's like upset, that, he had the opportunity to do this and he didn't. And in doing so, it led to him getting a fireball to the face. And then ultimately he said he's still going to enter the Royal Rumble match and he's still going to fight. So nonetheless, it just shows that the Fiend has changed Randy Orton. He's starting to show compassion. Let me ask you this. Do you think the Fiend is going to cost Randy Orton his Royal Rumble spot? Like somehow he's going to be the one to eliminate him?
Probably.
I would think so. Like, would it be kind of cool if Randy Orton's in there, maybe eliminates a bunch of people, then the next number is like the Fiend. He comes in.
My only problem with saying yes to this is I feel like there's a few storylines like that at this year's Royal Rumble that I could see, and I don't think that they're going to do more than one to further a story like that. So
yeah. So I
could see the lights going out and the Fiend thing happening and someone just tossing Randy over and there's no sign of the Fiend.
Oh, so it could have been like just a
distraction.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, I can see that. No, I appreciate Randy Orton as far as really taking the character seriously and throwing the mask on. I wonder how long he's going to wrestle with the mask on for, though, to really sell the burn burn injury or burn marks, and
It's probably going to be a few months.
it's going to be like, was Undertaker had the mask on for the
Oh,
longest
yeah.
time. So,
Like Phantom of the Opera.
now here's the question. If Randy Orton was true old school, because, he's been around for a minute now, I wonder if he wears the mask outside of Tropicana Field. Like, does he wear it to the airport wherever he travels to and from St. Louis every week? So let's see Randy Orton outside of...
Well, you're assuming he actually lives in St. Louis.
He lives in Florida.
He lives in Florida?
Yeah, he's got a home in Florida.
Well,
He can drive home in a mask.
Yeah.
Everyone's wearing masks right now.
Yeah.
he has a full...
Yeah.
So, anyway, we'll see how this goes. But I enjoyed, like, as far as really setting the scene, that his face was, burnt up pretty badly. He has to wear a full-blown mask now. But, yeah, the promo did run a little long. And I'm like, come on, wrap this up. But, anyway. Okay. Now, as far as, let's just talk about Charlotte Flair. And then I have my thoughts about Asuka and Alexa Bliss. We'll say that towards the end.
Yeah.
Okay, Charlotte Flair, she's having a one-on-one match with Peyton Royce. Peyton Royce's, I guess, kind of tag team partner. Lacey Evans comes out wearing Ric Flair's robe and just kind of throws a distraction. Woo! Like, woo! just like Lacey should like, how'd you get that robe? Like, where'd you get? So, Charlotte Flair still defeats Peyton Royce, but ultimately the story here is Lacey Evans is wearing Ric Flair, Charlotte's dad's robe, and rubbing it in. And later on in the night, we see Charlotte Flair cut a promo saying she spent years trying to separate herself from her dad's legacy and trying to build her own, career. Lacey Evans comes right in, and she's totally embracing being like Ric Flair's, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know, lover, maybe it's not the right word, but like apprentice, learning from. Lacey says she's learning from Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure Ric Flair could teach her a thing or two.
So, I mean, what do you think about the psychology that Lacey is doing here?
It's classic wrestling.
Yeah.
You've turned someone important. It's no different than Dusty and what was her name? The
Baby Doll?
Baby Doll?
No, in WWF.
Dusty Rhodes.
What time period?
When Dusty was
Sapphire.
in WWF. Sapphire. Yeah.
Baby
when
Doll.
when Ted DiBiase paid Sapphire away from Dusty.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it's an emotional thing. It's just kind of like, it makes you hate Lacey that much more.
Yeah.
Because it's like, God, she's used Charlotte's father to mess with Charlotte's mind. And it's like, it's not like Charlotte's the Raw champion. So it's really more vindictive than like trying to get a belt off of somebody.
And that's what I'll just tease this right now as far as when we lead to the main event. It's just kind of frustrating that this episode, you have the women's tag team champions, Asuka and Charlotte, but they were never seen on screen together as all, not being shown as a unified team. They got separate storylines right now versus maybe having their own storyline, which I know
you could feel that way, earlier in the week, but then we see on Friday why we got to see them again.
True. Okay, so yeah, we'll get just put that on hold for a sec. So, but anyway, like I said, I'm just a little frustrated that the tag titles I feel like are not getting enough attention, at least on Raw. I'm now, granted, when I first saw Raw, and then now jump ahead to SmackDown, at least they're getting some love there, which we'll touch on a little bit. So anyway, now listen, we saw Mace defeat Xavier Woods. So Xavier Woods, poor Xavier, he's getting beat up by Retribution. I just want to say, my main thing was the promo before the match. Mustafa Ali says he hopes Kofi's jaw injury keeps him out through WrestleMania and therefore is payback to what happened to him a couple years ago. Remember, Kofi Mania took place because Mustafa Ali got injured from Randy Orton. Kofi was the replacement in the Elimination Chamber and had that great performance and then led to the Kofi Mania build to his match against Daniel Bryan. Let me ask you this. Do you want to see maybe a Mustafa Ali Kofi feud once he's healthy? And could that be maybe a big WrestleMania match there?
I don't know about WrestleMania, but I think it'd be a good match.
Because I think that's a story that hasn't been told yet as far as Mustafa Ali. He's had this grudge against Kofi for the last 2 years, that his career could have been what Kofi is, but because of injury and stuff, it was preventing him from doing that. So I think that could be something really cool. That's the Easter egg right there. What could come up between the two of them whenever Kofi gets healed up. So Xavier Woods is going to take a beating for probably for a couple weeks until Kofi's healthy again. So anyway, something to keep track of. Now, next up, a segment that I was kind of I didn't think it didn't hit a home run was Asuka visiting Alexa Bliss's playground. So we see, Alexa Bliss, had her playground set up in the ring. Asuka comes in. They're going back and forth. Asuka was like all playful, like, she wanted to be there.
I think I know why you weren't so into it, because I felt the same way. I think Alexa Bliss's tone changed to the angry, don't sit there. That kind of threw me off, where she's like, I wouldn't sit there if I were you. That would have been better. Yeah, and so Asuka is like trying to be playful and wanted to sit down and swing next to Alexa Bliss. And she's like, don't sit there. That's his spot. And then she starts talking into like an invisible friend, a.k.a. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. For me, Asuka is the Raw Women's Champion. She's one half of the tag team champion. She's arguably the most dominant female performer in the last 5 years. I just don't like how she's being treated, like kind of scared of Alexa Bliss a little bit. I don't know. Like, I feel like she should be a little more dominant and be like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, I'm leaving. Or, you know what I mean? Like, from a character standpoint, Asuka, she is the badass warrior of this women's division. Doesn't mean that she can't get freaked out by something. Yeah, because if you think about it, there's baggage that comes with Alexa Bliss in the fact that Asuka doesn't know if the lights go out, is the Fiend going to be there and grab her the same way he grabbed Alexa Bliss? Yeah. So I think you need to take it for what it is. I mean, at the same time, like, you get Andre the Giant's afraid of a snake. The biggest man on the planet's afraid of a snake. Yeah. So, yeah. So, like, with Alexa, at least, there's like something a little bit more. And I think when you're looking at Alexa, you also need to be thinking about the Fiend and what the Fiend, in terms of punishment, can take. Yeah. We don't know where this Alexa Bliss is yet. This is the first we've seen her in the ring like this. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting how this plays out. And I'll kind of touch on more of that with the main event. So that when I was a little bit worried about what we saw here, how it was going to play into the main event, and it kind of did. So also we saw Shayna Baszler defeat Mandy Rose. Nia was on commentary. That was a titillating match. Okay, I did not see. Okay, those of you who know, I did not see it, and so I gotta go look again, double check again. I got you covered. Okay, thank you. So, Nia and Shayna were talking as far as like their big plan now is like, okay, Charlotte is busy with Lacey Evans, Asuka's busy with Alexa Bliss. They're kind of dysfunctional right now as tag champions, so they want to go after the tag titles again and get their rematch. So, okay, we'll see how this plays out with them. And then let's see. We see AJ Styles take on Ricochet. Easily match of the night. Am I right, Richard? Here, AJ Styles. That was phenomenal. No pun intended. Mm-hmm. I mean, just the back and forth, and finally let Ricochet just kind of do his thing out there, and AJ catch him and lay the finisher on him. Yeah, that was great. That was a great finish. Ricochet needs a mouthpiece desperately. He is so bad on a microphone. Yeah, no, totally. I mean, that's the thing. I love his in-ring work. I loved him in Lucha Underground, but dear Lord, is he stale on the microphone. Oh wow, yeah, no, I definitely. I see what you say about that. Okay, interesting. Ricochet. He is such an amazing athlete. Going back to our comments about our discussion with Undertaker, he's such an amazing athlete. What he could do in the ring, not a lot of people can do, and it's so good. And do you think he has the majority of the whole package? But what is he missing? Yeah, maybe a mouthpiece could really help him. He's below indie level on the mic. He's really terrible on the microphone.
And that's something like, maybe these older veterans could help work out with him. I don't know. Like going back to what we talked about earlier with older veterans from the Attitude Era, could they come in and help teach a promo to Ricochet and kind of really get it out of him? I don't know. But anyway,
he would be a good addition to the Hurt Business.
That could be. Well, and that's a great point you brought. We'll touch on real quick. So a segment that I actually laughed, even though Miz and Morrison are kind of getting on my nerves a little bit. We had the dirt sheet. They brought out Gilbert, which, first off, just glad to see Gilbert is doing okay. Remember, he had a heart attack last year. So I'm just glad he's doing okay. And then they bring out a phony Drew McIntyre, who was actually played by actor David Krumholtz. Because
he was on the Deuce.
Yeah, I was watching. I was like, this guy looks familiar. Is this the guy that was in that movie Life with Mikey with Michael J. Fox and all the Santa Claus movies, Harold Kumar, Numbers?
He's like one of the main stars for the Deuce on HBO with James Franco, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and James Gandolfini's son.
I was watching and I was like, that guy looks familiar. Is that him? Yeah. But I didn't realize, hey, I'm a big guy myself, but he's a little bit thicker right now. So I
think he's done that for a role because he gained a bunch of weight for the Deuce. And in the second season of the Deuce, he lost, like, he was the skinniest guy you've seen.
Gotcha. Okay. So, for acting cool, but I laughed when he was trying to say the line and he stops like, you want to do it again? He's like, no, we're live.
Where'd you get this guy? New Jersey.
And Morrison was so great here. Morrison, I love Morrison, and he's such an amazing performer.
You know him.
I've done events with him.
Without Morrison, these segments would sink.
Yeah, I really want Morrison to get a good singles run on his own. I
think it's coming, especially with his wife as a free agent.
Yeah, and I do speculate Taya's probably going to sign with WWE. She should.
Yeah.
So with Morrison, I really think he could be a champion, a WWE champion, if booked correctly. But it was just so Morrison really makes these segments fun, and he saves them for the most part. So anyway, I'm just I love the segment. I thought it was really funny, and just Gilbert going, Wah! Even in the background. Wah! It just was funny. So,
well, he's just getting over a heart attack. He had a heart attack in December or November.
Oh,
I'm so happy that he's doing okay now. So it's it's great stuff there. Wow, that is some great stuff right there. So talking about the Hurt Business earlier on, there was that botch. Remember, Bobby Lashley stopped Riddle's foot, but he was a foot away from his foot.
Yeah,
it was so bad. Could they recut that or reshoot that?
Nope.
It was so bad.
We're live, pal.
Riddle's and he's like, dude, you didn't touch your foot. Anyway, so you had the match of the Hurt Business taking on Riddle and the Lucha Brothers. So do you think Cedric is going to get kicked out of the Hurt Business soon? Because he kept tagging himself in. And I'm like, what's going on here? How can you have dysfunction already when you got the majority of the titles on Raw?
It could just be, look at the other guys. He's the youngest guy in the group. He needs to be taught. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if they jumped him or something and taught him a lesson, and lesson learned.
Or maybe do a switch with Ricochet.
It's such a hot group right now. I don't think that they're going to touch it.
I know. It's like you're teasing this. So is something going to happen or not? Because I don't want them to break up already. They're so good as it is. There's still a fresh foursome right there. I don't want them to mess with the Hurt Business. Keep it as it is. I don't like that they're already having dysfunction already amongst the four of them. So anyway, we see Jeff Hardy defeat Jackson Ryker when Elias interfered. I don't know. Is Elias Ryker? This thing's probably, I don't know how long this is going to last for as well.
Yeah, no comment.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So we jump to the main event. Alexa Bliss taking on Raw Women's Champion Asuka. We see the match start. The lights go out. And then the setting of the Thunderdome's different. Got the purple lights. Asuka, a whole different outfit. She looks possessed. Asuka is throwing a bunch of action at her or offense towards her. Alexa is no selling any of it. Ultimately,
she was using Miyagi karate the whole time.
Exactly.
It was all defensive.
So she ultimately defeats Alexa Bliss. Or excuse me, defeats Asuka. and you know, defeats Asuka, defeats the Raw Women's Champion cleanly, and then the lights go back off, and then she morphs back into her regular self again. So, man, like, guys, like, I was a little bummed because I was like, I love Asuka, and she got manhandled here by Alexa Bliss, who was like possessed, I guess, by the Fiend or her alter ego. I don't know.
But we've seen this. I think. Don't worry. Number one, because we've seen this with the Fiend. He ate up Finn Balor. He ate up Seth Rollins. So it's just, you know, it's just some storytelling. It's 1 week.
Well, okay, let me ask you this.
Plus, Asuka's not gonna like. Babyface champions are not supposed to hold the belts that long forever because you're more invested in them chasing the belts than holding the belt.
Yeah, that's true. But Alexa Bliss announced herself for the Women's Royal Rumble. Do you consider her a strong favorite now?
No.
Do you think if she turns into possess mode or alter ego personality, like, could she go on a tear in the Royal Rumble match now?
I don't know, because we don't really know what this is. I think it's possible we see some sort of Fiend version of Alexa Bliss enter the Royal Rumble.
Okay,
that'd be pretty cool if you think about it.
Yeah. So we'll wait and see. But no. Here we are on the road to Royal Rumble next weekend.
This is also a match that involves Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair. So I don't see Alexa Bliss easily throwing both of them over.
Like I said, I'm just concerned that Asuka is getting jobbed out to Alexa Bliss's character, and then the women's tag titles are just on the back burner while Asuka and Charlotte have their separate storylines instead of kind of unified and being together.
Even if Asuka is jobbing out to Alexa Bliss is a very decorated champion, so I wouldn't consider it jobbing out. It's just Asuka. Not the person that you want to see winning.
I love Asuka.
The problem. I know.
All right, let's move on over to Wednesday night for NXT, and the majority of this night, which is about the Dusty Classic or the Dusty Tournament with the men's and women's first rounds moving along. So opening match here, we see Leon Ruff and Kushida take on The Way, Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory. Great match here. I like the finish though. As far as Kushida, like really capturing Johnny with his arms, like trapped behind him and stretching him out for the submission hold there. I was kind of shocked. I really thought The Way might like go to the finals in this tournament. I was really shocked that Leon Ruff and Kushida, the underdogs, won here.
I like two things. I like Austin Theory in short pants.
Yes, much better. Yeah.
And every time I see Leon Ruff, he seems to impress me. So I can say now I am a Leon Ruff fan. That springboard or whatever it was, that cutter he did was just ridiculous.
Theory's tights remind me of like Jeff Jarrett in WCW in 2000.
Yeah. I was thinking Shane Helms.
Shane Helms too.
Slap nuts.
When he was heel Shane Helms in WWE.
Yeah. Do you think Austin Theory, his character is much better now ever since he's been aligning himself with Johnny Gargano?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I think it's a lot better. I was really hoping that they were going to maybe win this and kind of, use it as their, look what we did here. We won the North American Championship. We won the tournament. So I was super shocked. Like I said, for all your March Madness fans out there, it was total bracket buster right there, all ready to kick off the show. A couple things I just want to lump together. Pete Dunne cuts a promo, says he's going to go after Finn Balor. Awesome. Yeah. Finn Balor, we see William Regal, and he wants to challenge Pete Dunne for a title match. Or excuse me, he's down to fight Pete Dunne and put the title on the line. William Regal and Finn Balor also said he wants to take out Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch first, cut off the arms before you go after the head. That is Pete Dunne. William Regal's like, well, you can't do it alone. You need a tag partner. He's like, well, I have no friends here. And he said, look at your enemies. And more or less to paraphrase, he says the enemy of your enemy is your friend. So I think a lot of people start assuming, okay, Kyle O'Reilly should be the one to help them because they both have a common interest here. They both have beef with those three guys. Then later on in the night, we see Finn Balor enter Undisputed Era's locker room. It was like they were staring at each other. There was a lot of dead air in between. They're all staring at each other, but ultimately Finn Balor said to Kyle O'Reilly, "You in?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm in."
But I just liked Roderick Strong's body language and the way he was talking. He's like, "Hey man," he's like, he reminded me of like a bully from like the 50s or whatever. His demeanor, his attitude, you know.
They're all
we don't like your
motorcycle
kind around here, man.
Yeah, they're like the motorcycle greasers that you see from like old television.
Yes,
white shirts, blue jeans, leather jackets.
Yeah. With the cigarettes rolled up on their sleeve.
Hey man. So anyway, this is gonna be good. I cannot wait. Finn Balor, Kyle O'Reilly taking on Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch in a match coming up soon. So that's gonna be awesome. We see Karrion Kross, a squash match against Ashanti Theodonis. I enjoyed this as far as keep it simple for Karrion Kross in the ring.
Yeah.
Squash match, you got to rebuild him as a dominant force because we know while Finn Balor eventually is probably going to have a match with Pete Dunne at some point.
Probably at the next takeover.
Yeah, and then Finn's probably going to retain there. And then probably Karrion's going to be the next one to go after Finn Balor.
Yeah.
So this is just Karrion Kross biding his time. Am I right, Richard?
I think for Karrion, you've got a couple of things coming up for him. Because it looks like after he squashed, what was the guy's name?
Let's see, Ashanti Theodonis.
Yeah. Then after the match, he goes after his tag team partner, which was really violent. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
But also we see, and I'm sorry to jump ahead, but I noticed this. I don't know if you probably noticed it too. Escobar was taking shots at Karrion Kross.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be 100% surprised to see Karrion Kross focus on him, not his belt, but just him in general.
Well, let's go ahead and touch on that real quick. So, Santos Escobar comes out with the other two guys from Legado del Fantasma. Mm-hmm. And, I liked his promo. He called out all the other champions in NXT.
His English has really gotten good.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoyed this promo because
that was a tremendous promo for English-speaking people as well. So,
but as far as calling out all the other champions in recent months, as far as he's been the one consistent dominant champion for the respective title that he holds, because he said, we have guys here who have curses and can't retain their championships when defending them. We have guys here who get injured and can't defend it the following match. So like Karrion Kross and Finn Balor. So it's like he was taking shots at all these other guys on the NXT roster without saying names, but I really love this promo here. And then who was it came out after? The
Lucha House Party and someone named Stallion.
Kurt Stallion. That's right.
Yeah.
And
from 205 Live.
Yeah, I don't know much about that guy other than 205 Live. So it's gonna be a match, I think, next week.
He looks like he works in Silicon Valley.
Yeah. Or people joke that he looks kind of like Heath Slater a little bit,
like a deflated Heath Slater.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's a great promo. I like a heelish personality, or heelish champion who explains why he is the best at what he does and calls out other people, his peers. But it was so clear, and he really took actual events in NXT's last 6 months.
And what genuinely pisses people off the most is when they're doing a promo like that and they're right. They're not embellishing and they're not lying.
Yeah. He wasn't saying anything that was not true. It's all this all happened. Johnny always had the curse of losing the title and defending it. Finn and Karrion got hurt. Did he say anything about the tag titles? I can't remember off the top of my head if he said anything. But anyway. No, great stuff there. Love that. But speaking of Lucha House Party, great match taking on Imperium for another first round match for the Dusty Classic.
They're killing it right now.
Yeah, they're like where have these guys been?
I know.
Catering on Raw or SmackDown.
But holy crap, are they good right now?
Yeah.
And I hope they stay on NXT.
And El Gran Metalik,
But
even them on Raw was really good this week.
Yeah, with Matt Riddle. Yeah.
I guess it's them dropping Kalisto.
He was a weak link on SmackDown.
Seriously.
Where's he been? He hasn't been on SmackDown in ages.
Who cares? He's been teasing going to the other place.
Yes. No, this is great. There's a great match here. I love the different styles. Imperium, more grounded, hard hitting. Well,
mat-based wrestling.
Yeah, Lucha House Party are high flying.
High flying Lucha Libre style.
I think they need to get some different music. Something that takes a little more serious, because that music was the one that Kalisto and Sin Cara used in NXT.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, neither one of those guys are in that group anymore, so why are you using the same music?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I really wish, change it up. It's to kind of maybe rebrand them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're seriously, like, they're one of the best acts in WWE right now, I'd say.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love how they took out one of the guys in Imperium outside the ring, and then I believe it was
it Fabian Eichner?
Fabian Eichner was outside, and the other guy with hair,
Marcel Barthel,
he was in the ring, and then Grand Metalik. Was it Grand Metalik?
That springboard Hurricane Rana.
Oh my God,
yes,
dude! And just a finisher. Oh, so good. And they won clean.
Yeah, they won clean.
I was like, wow, they won clean.
And those and both those teams are great tag teams. So it's like, oh my God, like that was a really enjoyable match.
But I think a lot of people were assuming Imperium was going to win, former NXT champions, tag team champions.
There was a strong favorite going in.
Another bracket buster. I think it was Beth Phoenix, who was in-house on this episode of NXT, which was cool to see her in person.
Yeah.
She gave a great speech when they got into the women's Dusty Classic.
Yeah, so but I was gonna say she called out Wade Barrett because he's like, oh, my bracket is totally ruined now. So that was cool. But so anyway, Tommy brought up a good point to me before I watched it. So the guys in Imperium walking up the ramp.
Yeah, as they lost the match,
and then
out of nowhere comes Alexander Wolf, and everyone was shocked to see him there, and they're like, isn't he? Yeah, and they were just kind of bowing to him.
Yeah, they do their pose.
They're embracing him. And
so, Richard, what do you think this means? Do you think Walter is coming to America, or he's calling them to bring them back to NXT UK?
That's what I think.
No idea. Do
you have a I mean, I love the tag team division.
I'd like to see Walter there. I'd like to see Walter there, but at the same time, what's Walter really going to do there? Like, Walter has the same problem coming here as he has over there, and the problem is that he's not on WWE Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah. I think they're better off just going back to the UK.
I mean, I think deep down it's probably a way to bring them back to NXT UK, and because they were seen on that restart episode of NXT UK, they were on the screen. I remember all the tag teams coming to the ring, and they all were gonna fight for it. So Imperium did acknowledge that they want those NXT UK tag titles.
Yeah.
So I would love to see them go back and get them, and then really dominate Imperium or fill out them as all champions.
Yes.
But they're so good. I like seeing them on NXT Prime, but then again, they have a lot of tag teams right now doing their thing. So I don't know. I mean, I would love to see Walter come to America and maybe start something for the next takeover.
I think he will eventually, probably by the summer, maybe.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
That would be badass.
Maybe next year.
God. We'll see. All right, next up, so we saw Beth Phoenix cut a great promo with William Regal on the ramp, just, kicking off the women's version of the Dusty Rhodes Classic, Tag Team Classic. But no, great stuff. I love how she acknowledged all the alumni, part of the women's evolution over the years. Yep. Pretty much just all the top women stars you see on Raw and SmackDown now. So that was great stuff. But we saw Casey and
Cannizzaro and Kaden Carter.
Yeah, take on Tony Storm, Mercedes Martinez. Dude, another upset here.
This is a tremendous match.
Mm-hmm. It was, and I'm so happy for Casey and Kaden because they are a legit tag team as far as the way they present themselves over the last year. That they're friends, they're a tag team. They don't do a lot of single stuff anymore now.
I've never seen it. I don't know what to call that move that Catanzaro did at the end.
Let me see what WWE.com has it listed as.
It was like a 450 guillotine leg drop of some sort.
Yeah.
Let's see. She hit a jaw. This is what WWE.com says. Jaw-dropping, twisting senton off the top rope to make good on her team's promise to pull off the huge upset. So, twisting senton. I don't know how many spins was that, though.
I don't know. That was nuts.
It's a tongue twister.
That was a great finish there. Upset. I mean, of course, Io Shirai did
help out in a way.
Yeah, take out Mercedes Martinez, get some payback for what she did to her a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, big upset here. I'm super happy for them as baby faces, a legit tag team in this tournament. So I thought they were going to lose first round with that matchup of Toni Storm, former NXT UK Women's Champion.
I like Toni Storm's promo early in the show. It was really good heel promo.
Do you think Toni Storm, she's trying to be like a female Shawn Michaels now?
Yeah.
She's in that kind of awkward stage that Bayley was in when Bayley first turned heel. So she's trying to find it. She's trying to find her inner heel.
Okay.
I think she's getting there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's going to be good. Like, I'm glad for the heel turn. It gives her a little more opportunity to be more charismatic. So, all right. You see Tyler Russ take on Bronson Reed. Earlier tonight, we saw Tyler Russ come out of William Regal's office before Malcolm Bivens could meet him. And he's like, make this match. And then Malcolm Bivens was like, well, you should have asked me. Like, I don't think we should have gone this route. But he's like, all right, we'll do this. So I kind of like Malcolm Bivens is like, okay, you kind of went behind my back, but I'll still embrace this match here. Solid match here. Bronson Reed ultimately get the victory. And, good for him. He needs to keep that, momentum going.
I want Bronson Reed to go after the North American title,
which I think they're going to go for, because they do have a story there with Johnny, because he was in that ladder match back over the summer. Mm-hmm. I just wish Bronson Reed get rid of that little, toy thing around his neck.
No, I like that.
Muda had that.
Yeah.
It's an homage to the great Muda.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I did not like this. I thought it was too long. I think Bronson Reed should have squashed him in a minute's time.
Really?
Yeah. Because, I mean, the end is him having the lesson learned. You should have gone through your management. Like Wade Barrett said, that's why you have the management. So I think he should have been overzealous and just got squashed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
well, I'll be curious to see. Like Malcolm Bivens says, all right, we'll go back to the drawing board and figure this out. So I wonder if there's going to be any repercussions for Tyler Russ for going behind his manager's back to get this match going. So, all right, let's go ahead to main event time, fight pit time. Timothy Thatcher, Tommaso Ciampa. Dude, what a match.
I loved it. I loved it.
Right, Richard? Yeah.
It was perfectly timed. Like this was not as long as I thought it was going to be, but it was pleasantly shorter than I thought it was going to be.
I love. Okay, so let's just real quick compare. So this is only the second one. The first one was Thatcher and Riddle last year. Mm-hmm. That was at Full Sail. This one was inside the Performance Center or the
Capital Wrestling Center.
What do you think of the setup this year or this setting? As far as they had the lights were a little bit different. It was kind of like going down on it, lights around the
there wasn't
the
much changes to it.
Yeah, I mean, Kurt Angle wasn't in this one. So.
Yeah,
that's right. Okay, that's right. He was the ref in that one. That's right.
Yeah,
I like that it didn't feel like they had to use the entire space. They left a lot of room for future fight pit matches.
Be creative.
They got up on the ramp. They wrestled on half of the ramp, or fought on half of the ramp.
Yeah.
Then went into the pit and then got bossed in the corner and hit the submission.
Yeah.
It was simple. It was really well done.
Yeah.
I like how, they both walk up the steps and start up top and, brawl it out up there. And then eventually during the commercial break, the picture-in-picture, that's when they both drop down to the actual ring. But I like how they use the cage, all aspects of it. But really using the corner. And the finish, though, with Ciampa one leg trapped inside the poles, and then Thatcher taking the other one for the what Big E uses, the
muffler,
stretch muffler. Hold. But Tommy, as you said, he took both hands and then squeezed his leg.
Because I remember Boss Rutan, when he was in Pancrase, he used something similar where he grabbed the guy's neck and the guy's leg, and he grabbed his hands together and just squeezed the guy into submission.
And then Ciampa immediately tapped out because that was his surgically repaired knee. So it made sense from just a story standpoint.
Yeah, and the fight pit continues to be a beauty of brutal stipulation, and both guys just look like beasts in there. I thought.
And then I enjoyed afterwards, they're just staring each other down. And then Thatcher, he was pointing to his neck, or did you know what that meant at all?
Yeah, that's where he was injured the week before.
Oh, I was like, okay. I
That
had
was
no
the
idea.
weakness. That was the weakness.
Well, because he couldn't raise his arms up. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was a WWE.com exclusive. First video, Ciampa was in the backstage area. He was with the trainer, and he said, no damage here. You should be fine. We'll get some ice. But he mentioned, hey, Ashanti Adonis got injured with his match with Karrion Kross, so him and his partner are out of the Dusty tournament, so there's an opening. And you see Ciampa just thinking. And later on, you see Thatcher leaving the arena. His arm's still hurting. Ciampa comes up and says, hey, why didn't you break my leg when you had the opportunity? He said, respect. Because, Thatcher, he's always about, they kept mentioning at the beginning of the match, taking liberties. So you thought Thatcher was going to be like really ruthless, bloody, no holds barred. But he showed restraint against Ciampa because of respect. And then Ciampa said, hey, there's an opening in the Dusty Classic. You want in? And he kind of shook his head and walked off. And then sure enough, it was official. They're a tag team, and they had their match on actually 205 Live this week.
Yeah, I need to catch up on that.
Yeah, I want to watch that too. So, but they won, so they're moving on in the Dusty Classic already. So, is it because just out of respect they beat the crap out of each other over a couple matches? Now they're going to be tagged.
Yes.
Are you cool with that?
Yeah, that's what they did with the Bar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Best of 7 led to them becoming a tag team.
Yeah, so that's great. I'm all for that. I mean, they're both kind of similar styles as well, so it's good stuff. So looking forward to what they can do. All right. Oh, and do you think they are favorites now to maybe win this whole thing?
I don't know. I mean, this is such a competitive tournament right now.
I still like the Grizzled Young veterans.
This is the most competitive Dusty Classic they've done thus far.
Exactly. So it's going to be really good stuff. All right. Last but not least, Friday Night SmackDown. We saw Roman Reigns cut out another promo. I love this promo, Richard, as far as he's speaking.
It took the first 15, 20 minutes of the show to get past video packages and promos.
I know. It took a long time to get some matches going. Yeah. But I like the delivery here as far as he's talking, but he's not shouting, and he's delivering a menacing message here. And I like that about him, and that's about this character work. Ultimately, Paul Heyman jumps on the microphone and, says Adam Pearce is a puss for not for getting out of the match, having Kevin Owens come in, and ultimately challenges Adam Pearce to a match later in the night. So, and we'll talk more about the finish there. But yeah, going back to earlier when I did say I was a little worried that the women's tag titles were not getting enough attention on Raw. Keep in mind, they do go from brand to brand. We see Asuka and Charlotte show up on SmackDown.
Stellar tag team match.
Yeah, they actually defeat the Riot Squad, but as you said, great match here. It was not title, but yeah, Billie Kay once again dressed like a little bit of a punk rocker as best she could. Gets
like
involved.
Avril Lavigne.
Yeah, cuts costs the Riot Squad the match.
Yeah.
They had the promo backstage, and she's like, "Oh, I'll help you guys. You're both in the Royal Rumble match. I'll help you. Do well in that." Like she's really sorry, and she's trying to make good on this. But Riot Squad said, "Nah, we're done with you. Peace." So I feel so bad for Billie Kay now.
I know.
Like I hope maybe I'm like, how can they fix this? How can Billie Kay win back Riot Squad's trust? So that's something to look forward to.
I think she needs to update her resume.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. We see Daniel Bryan come out talking about the Royal Rumble. He wants a rematch with Cesaro, but Cesaro more or less said, I beat you already. I'm not going to challenge you again, which is great as a heel. He's like, I won already. I don't need to do this again. He says, I'd rather face someone else. Dolph Ziggler comes out and challenges him. Great match here between Dolph and Cesaro here. I mean, I was happy to see these two go at it.
Yeah. It was. I mean, shit. Look at them. They're both phenomenal athletes. So
exactly.
It's just ridiculous.
And then next up, we saw Sasha Banks take on Reginald, who's sommelier. Is that the term right for Carmella?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. So this match here, what'd you think of this match here? Sasha Banks taking on Reginald in an intergender match.
I hated it.
Why'd you hate it?
Yeah.
Number one, I am not a fan of intergender wrestling whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. This looked like two Americans practicing lucha libre.
It was
like this felt like something that you would see at the Performance Center, not televised.
Our buddy Kenny texted me. He said he thought it was way too choreographed.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I didn't care for it. This is why I couldn't get behind the Tessa Blanchard, Sami Callihan thing from Impact, because I was kind of chiming in on that, and then until I saw like some backstage brawl between the two of them, and it felt like I hit this, then move this way, then duck this way. Like it's all too crisp looking. Like they've gone over it too many times.
Yeah, it was like really smooth, like too smooth to be like a grudge.
Yeah.
But Reginald,
that goes back to what I said earlier with the Undertaker being right about certain things. Like that is part of it. It's like it is too clean looking. It takes you out of your suspension of disbelief at that point.
That these people hate each other and want to beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, but you can tell that they've been spending all day with each other working this thing out.
It was extremely choreographed and scripted out. But I guess Reginald, I think Corey Graves mentioned that he used to work at actual Cirque du Soleil. Cirque du Soleil. So
Cirque du Soleil.
He's very athletic, but
very ballerina-like.
I don't care.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, it's probably going to lead to...
Can he take a body slam from Bruiser Brody?
Or Terry Funk.
Yeah. A pile driver from Terry Funk?
Yeah. But so it's probably going to lead Sasha Banks to take on Carmella at Royal Rumble, if I had to guess. So anyway, we'll see.
Yeah, it's so hard to pick things for the Royal Rumble because... You know, there's these people that you want to see have matches, but there's also like, well, if they're in a match, they're probably not going to be in the Rumble match. So it's like, damn it.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, from them, like Carmella, I think she'd rather have a chance to go for the title that night instead of going through 29 other competitors. So I get that. But no, anyway, it was extremely choreographed. Like, okay, like I respect the athleticism and how smooth everything was. But then I'm like, this is way too non-believable. So I'm with you. It was way too over-the-top choreographed. All right, next up, we saw Big E against Apollo Crews. Unfortunately, it ended in no contest for the IC title, but still a great match, though.
Yeah, Apollo's hitting his stride right now. It's really nice to see.
And also, we saw Sami Zayn earlier tonight handcuff himself to the ring wall.
Barricade
earlier tonight, protesting. I like his protesting. So I like how throughout the night wrestlers keep walking by him and he's out there. He's protesting with his sign. So, you know, the conspiracy theory. But he unhandcuffs himself and interferes in the match. So do you think... I guess it's going to lead to a triple threat at Royal Rumble now. That's what I'm ultimately assuming.
Probably.
Because Sami Zayn, he had that great triple threat match with AJ and Jeff was at SummerSlam, so maybe they want to try to recreate that magic. That's my guess of why they're probably going to do that. And so, next up, probably the least entertaining, boring match of the night, King Corbin taking on Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah.
King Corbin dominated.
Yeah, but I think that's good. Because, like, look, Dominic has had a, like, dream run so far.
Yeah.
He's had these great matches with this person, that person. He's not going to have those every night. And I think that's what this was. Just kind of like, hey, get used to this because you're going to have a lot more of these coming up.
Well, then, so after he loses, he's talking to his dad, and his dad's like, trust me. But he didn't. So what happened to, like, this mystery person that they were going to help him out? Is it dropped yet? Well, see, that's the thing. It's like they didn't acknowledge it still. So I was wondering, I hope it's not dead in the water.
No.
I hope they still bring it back. So, we'll see how it goes. But do you think after this storyline, do you think Dominic, I don't know if I asked this already to you, do you think Dominic needs to go to NXT and just be his own thing down there?
No, if he stays with his dad, because I do know that Ray wants to win the tag team titles with Dominic, you can get a lot of learning out of just tagging with someone with more experience. I mean, that's, going back to our conversation about the Ruthless Aggression era taking a backseat because a lot of the guys from the Attitude Era left, had a lot of the guys from the Attitude Era left and tagged with some of the newer guys coming up, or, they would have got that rub from the more experienced person. So, shit, I mean, his dad's Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
And if you're going to wrestle Lucha Libre, who better to tag with?
Yeah. Well, speaking of tag titles, also Street Profits, they wanted a rematch. Sonya Deville said no. lets other tag teams get a chance. You rest your leg. You have a leg injury. I don't want you to wrestle now.
I wasn't a fan of that.
Really? You're not. I was kind of like, okay, maybe fresh matchups.
I thought it was really lame that Sonya Deville said that you're 2-time Slammy Award winners. That should mean something. And it's like, doesn't mean shit. They shouldn't get a title match because they won Slammy Awards.
Yeah.
It's like, how is that any different than, hey, you won a Nickelodeon award. You deserve a title match. Like, what? Yeah. No.
I mean, I guess the one bright side is like, okay, maybe we're getting some fresh matchups with the SmackDown tag titles with the Dirty Dogs, Ziggler and Rude. But it's like, what other tag teams do you have to challenge them? That's the problem. The tag division on SmackDown Raw are very thin. So it's like, okay, I respect, like, okay, you're gonna sit this one out. I don't want you to get re-hurt. But like, who else are you gonna have to kind of, kill time until Street Profits heal up and can
Otis
challenge.
And Gable,
I guess. Which okay. Oh, I forgot to mention that. So Bianca Belair defeats Bayley in that Ultimate Athlete Obstacle Course Challenge. I kind of enjoyed it. I
enjoyed it. I thought it was very entertaining.
I was hoping it was going to be pre-recorded elsewhere outside of the venue, and that way they could kind of really have fun with the editing and make it really funny. But
where are they going to have it at? The Capitol Wrestling Center?
I don't know, somewhere. But I enjoyed it. Bayley, which I was like surprised how slow she was taking the whole thing. But then Bianca, she's like, we're going to EST it, and like had the extra.
I love that. And she dominated it.
Yes. I know. So it's like when Bayley thought she was going to get one over, like as a heel over Bianca Belair, the babyface, Bianca still crushed it. And I laughed when Chad Gable said, I'm not going to be the one I'm not the one you have to carry.
Otis
comes out. He's like, oh yeah. But Bianca, she had no problem lifting him.
She picked him up with ease.
Damn. I can only imagine. Does Bianca carry Montez Ford around the house too? Like
probably easily
throws him around.
He's probably into that.
Yeah.
No, I thought that was great. It turned out really great. I mean, those segments can go wrong very quickly. This one was handled very well. So props to them.
And then Bayley jumps her afterwards, throws a basketball in her stomach, and just starts pounding her. It was great.
And exactly, I'm like, okay, bam, this is going to lead to a match finally, like a proper, like it's been a nice slow burn. I know they had one match.
And she did it perfectly where if you were looking at Bayley's face, she looks embarrassed that she lost the way she lost.
Yeah.
So like when she has her outburst, she just looks like a brat.
Exactly.
Like it wasn't like she had planned that the whole time. It was like, it was just like, oh my God, I just lost. Like, F this, and then attack.
Yeah, so it's great stuff, character building for both of them, so it's going to be good. All right, last but not least, I guess you can call it main event or the last segment of the night. Yeah. So we think it's going to be Adam Pearce taking on Paul Heyman. Adam Pearce comes out, with those sweatpants and
his WWE tracksuit
takes it off. He's still buffed up. Former NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Scrap iron.
Paul Heyman comes out. We start putting tape on his hands. I'm like, oh crap! Paul Heyman ready to throw down. Get a little ECW vibe out of him.
He's wearing his suit.
I know that's the only thing. It was like, oh, the suit's obvious. He's not going to actually do anything.
Yeah.
Starts walking up the steps. Like, oh, my knee. He falls, and he's like, oh, I can't wrestle. So it's just returning the favor to Adam Pearce. Roman Reigns comes out, and this is my replacement for Paul Heyman.
If you ever want to see a really bad match, go on the WWE Network and look up Paul Heyman versus Jim Cornette in a tuxedo match.
Yes.
It's the worst thing you'll ever see.
Yes, this is way back in, 1989? This was what? Clash of the Champions or whatever it was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
They're just
I know
two
what you're talking about.
Blubbery people, like girl fighting in the middle of the ring, trying
Cornette
to
has
address
talked
each
about
other.
this so many times on his podcast about how bad this match was.
Cat fight. So Roman Reigns comes out and he's laying into Adam Pearce. I think Adam Pearce got one shot in. I was kind of hoping he was going to get a few more shots in. I was kind of hoping that, but Roman just dominates, and then he takes it outside, goes back alongside the Thunderdome screens. But then, sure enough, Kevin Owens makes the save. We see the promo earlier tonight where he's like, says, I can't, he's doing like a selfie video. He's like, I can't, they won't allow me into the arena. Paul Heyman pulled some strings, but he talks about the tattoos on his fingers or his knuckles. Each are the initials of both his grandfather and both his mom and dad's side, and wish they were alive to see him succeed in WWE. I thought it was a great promo. I just wish it was in front of an audience or in front of Roman to really sell it home.
I gotta say, WWE has really done a good job of making me want to see Kevin Owens beat Roman Reigns for the belt.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Comeuppance.
So, but yeah, Kevin Owens comes in, makes the save, and starts beating the crap out of Roman.
Yeah.
Like, Roman hasn't got his ass kicked too much since he's been back. But yeah, he pop-up power bombs him on the table, and Kevin
multiple stunners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Kevin Owens is standing tall at the end of SmackDown. I mean, I highly doubt Kevin's going to win the Universal title at Royal Rumble, but as you said, it's really, they're doing a great job building up that emotional attachment to Kevin Owens that really believe that he's going to beat the crap out of Roman Reigns here, and I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. Good stuff here. So, all right, great episodes of WWE TV this week. Once again, a lot of entertaining stuff. All right, on that note, let's go home. Richard, where can all the Kliqsters find you online?
All the clickbaiters can find me at Pro Wrestling 101 on Instagram, and on Twitter you can find me nowhere.
Damn it.
All right,
then. All right, Tom, where the Kliqsters can find you?
Well, you can always find me on Twitter and Instagram at IronFist1982.
I'm Baby Huey. Follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey83. Subscribe to In The Kliq on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Podcasts, all the major podcast platforms. Email us inthekliq@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And on that note, let's go home. And that's the bottom line, because Huey said so.